Today we have a special edition of the Back of the Bird to recap the season that we all had in the NLL, and especially Paul's championship victory with the Buffalo Bandits. We went over to Pauly's house. We did our second ever in-person podcast. The tech, I'm happy to report, was significantly better this time. And we kind of did a recap of the season, of the year, of kind of what we've learned in both throughout this year and throughout our NLL careers, especially for Dan and Paul, who have been doing it a lot longer than I have. So it's a special episode, one that means a lot to me, and I certainly hope you enjoy. As a reminder, this is sponsored by Cottage Springs, and also a huge shout out to Boston Levi, and this is his new song, Pretty Little Heartbreak, in the intro. Hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 117 of The Back of the Bird.
Show mini skirt, you're showing some skin. I think there's something going on, babe, between you and him. But you got your sunshades, you're showing your eyes, that I'm catching on, babe.
All right, we're back. We're in person. This is kind of a strange feeling now.
It is strange.
It's weird. But
it's only number 2, but it's nice though.
Number 2, number 1 didn't make the airwaves.
It did chopped up.
Chopped up. Oh, right. Yeah.
Chopped up.
But yeah, I guess this is 117 now. And the man that was gone into 0 dark 30 for a playoff run is he's emerged as champion. So this is gonna be a fun little conversation, I think. But we can just kind of jump into it, man. What's going on with you, Pauly?
Yeah, man, not been up to much,
Nothing crazy.
I just, boys. First of all, thanks for holding it down, letting me step away just to not figure it out, but just grind out playoffs. But yeah, man, it worked out well. So obviously, a little bit of a storybook run, and boys took her home, so it was good. So I mean, let's catch up with Donnie, and we can get into that. Or Donnie, you lead the way with what you want to get through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nothing really new. Obviously, we're pumped for you and pretty cool. So, just to kind of kick us off, like, what does that bring your kind of championship total to now?
So that's 3. That was number 3.
And then you got how many man cups?
4 man cups. So I've gone to 4 NLLs, lost 1, won 3. Went to 3 with Rochester, and then this is the third one, and then 4 man cups, 2 Mintos as a staff. I
was gonna say, there's no way you won one of those in Burlington.
Or Brampton. And then I got a Team Canada ring. So yeah, I run out of fingers, but it's nice. That's nice. That's why we play the game.
That is crazy. It's also hilarious. You decided not to win the one that I was in the finals with you.
I know, dude, and that's when we lost to my brother, which was shitty, but
yeah. I always forget he played on Saskatchewan for a brief period of time. I didn't like the way the black and green looked on him.
No, it didn't fit him well, and he didn't play last game, so he didn't really win the game.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take kindly to that. But I'm curious. How's the body feel after that kind of a run?
It's got someone knocking on the door. We'll figure it out. But it's feeling good now. I took this whole week off. Obviously, this is recording on Sunday, so we would have been playing this Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. This would have been game 3. Obviously, with this Friday, Saturday.
Okay. Go lay down.
And then the bus ride, back from Albany to Buff was a grind, because then I think we ended up getting back to the hotel and we tried to get out of there quick. We got back to the hotel 2, shut her down can't shut it on the bus, obviously, and then like back up, we had to shoot around. Anyways, so the body was banged up, and then you put into account, going out to 5 a.m. The body doesn't feel it. Lock that door. We're just locking my dog out of here. We're at my homestead, if you can't tell by the beautiful interior. My dog's going nuts. So yeah, it honestly took till like about Wednesday before I stopped limping, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like you go through like man cups and stuff, and like you're just banged up after man cups too. But I guess it's like now with the 3-game series, like it was 2 the weekend before, quick turnaround Friday, Saturday. So it's not the same as a man cup, but it was 4 games in 7 days. So it's still kind of essentially the same. So anyways, yeah, no, I was banged up, and then obviously like I said.
You're not exactly hydrating the muscles.
Yeah, late night. I don't think I had a bite to eat after the game. Just straight champagne, beers. But yeah, no, it was good. So the body's fine now. We're getting over it.
Who was your MVP of the celebration night?
Can you actually walk us through? Like,
Yeah, for sure. So, so the final buzzer like rings. We do the classic. Everyone jumps vino and blah blah blah. Get to center. So like, there's a couple funny things because then like, it's so weird because like, just going like behind the scenes. Scott Loeffler, who runs our team, like you don't want to put the cart before the horse, but you kind of have to in certain situations. So he emails essentially everyone's like wife or partner being like, hey, not saying we're gonna win a championship, but just in case, like we need numbers for field, blah blah, which is like probably awkward for him. And so Dory's like, hey, I just got this email from like Scott Loeffler. So I'm like, well, just put like I bought a box for the game and blah blah, because it was just easier to like, again, the game was sold out. So I'm like, just put the 18 names there and we'll figure it out, whatever. So like I said, we win the game, do the pylon, and then we get the trophy presentation. And like the one funny thing about the trophy presentation, I was like, beautiful trophy, and everyone saw like the video and all that stuff. But like I think after the commish hands it to like Dane and Weiser, he kind of like steps over. He's like closer to like ours, and he's like, "Hey boys, that thing fits 2.5 beers." Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if that funny. Was like the prerequisite, because obviously the old championship we had, there was some complaints about the drinking out of it, and maybe some guys chipped their tooths and whatever. So this one you can fully drink out of. It's beautiful. So then from there, then I'm like trying to figure out like where my family is, and everyone like does the cup raising, which is super cool. And then I'm trying to figure out where my family is. I know they're in a box, and then I find out they're in the box. So I get them down to the field, and then kind of honestly just like have a moment with my family. But the funny thing is like me, Dory, like we were taking a bunch of pictures. Me and Dory never got a picture together.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, or
That's
with
amazing.
Like, I got a picture with the 2 kids, but like we didn't get it. I got a picture of the whole family, but like we didn't get one as like one family. You kind of just like lose it in the moment, I guess. And then eventually, it's like, hey, we gotta get to the room. So it's kind of say goodbye to the family, and we get in the room and do the champagne toast and go crazy and blah 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 blah, and then we're just having beers and cigars and champagne, and then so from there we go to Cobblestones, which is right around the corner. I think most people have been in Buffalo. So we go there, and I actually got to meet the owner like since I got there. Really great guy. So obviously he's taking care of all the boys. Guys are, as soon as I walk in, I think it was Josh Byrne. I think Dane was behind there. They're just full on bartending, just in their championship shirts. So
that's awesome.
And it's packed. So anyways, then from there we go. So we stayed there. I probably got there around like 12:30. Stayed there till 2. And then from there we got Patrick's Rooftop, which is kind of cool because there was that story of I won't remember his name, but Tommy, the guy who passed away, and we wore like a patch on our helmet. He was part owner of that, and plus a couple other bars. So anyways, so we go to there at 2. And it usually closes at 2, so we have that place open now. So we go there from 2 to 4, and last call is at 4 in Buffalo. But no, wait, we have another bar to go to at 4. So we go hit the Chippewa Street.
Oh my god!
Go
Which
to
bar?
rec room. So get to rec room at 4, and then I think I crawled out of there just after 5. I think, yeah. Eventually, you get to that point where you're just tapping.
Yeah. Calling the evac.
You're drinking and just waiting for someone to be like, "Hey, man, I'm getting out of here." I can't remember who it was, but I think someone was like their wife or something. And they're like, "Hey, we're getting out of here." I'm like, "Okay, good to see you." And then I just ninja smoked, and I was out of there. But,
Hey, look, you're in the Uber with them.
yeah, exactly.
This guy can't hear.
Yeah.
And then the parade was next day.
Yeah. So, in the midst of the celebration in the room. Last year, I think they waited a couple weeks or whatever and like planned it out. But in the midst of like us like getting after it, they're like, "Hey, we're not doing a parade this year. We're doing like a celebration in the park, like semi-parade." But I think last year they did like a full-on thing. This was just kind of like from the parking lot into that square. Like, we're doing it tomorrow. Anyone that can come, be here at 12. So, anyways, sleep. I like wake up at like 11:30, like what's going on? I'm like, oh man, I gotta get to this rink. So like cab over the rink with a couple guys, and then there was like 3-4 fire trucks waiting for us. And then like I didn't really know, because like the way you come to the rink, you don't see that part of the square like when you come from the hotel. So we get to the room, guys start laughing about stories like from the night before. We're missing a couple guys. Where's this guy? Where's that guy? And then we hop on the truck, and then I'll suddenly peel around the corner, and there's like a couple thousand fans and then there was a full like red carpet thing. So it was like, again, it's like kudos to Buffalo. Like, this was in like a less than a 24-hour span, and there's like a full on red carpet. There's thousands of people in the square, like kind of like almost impromptu. And then there was the whole on stage thing, which was kind of cool too. So everyone kind of gave their 2 cents, whichever somebody like brought up, and so it was cool. And then we went out for lunch as like, again, a group of us, and then that was it. And then they shut her down and went home.
I was Loeffler actually ended up sending me a text with a full length video of your unedited little addressing of the crowd speech there. Yeah. So when you woke up at 11:30, did you start getting back on the beers in order to kind of like keep carrying through, or what?
I got feeling like garbage, obviously, and then I get to the room, and then like someone's like, "Hey, you want a beer?" It's like, "Yeah, I want a beer," because you're just not thinking. So you have a beer. Then when we're waiting, I'm just like, "Oh man, I am like damaged." Go like back into the room and start like just grabbing like BioSteels, but then like classic like adrenaline. You get back on the fire truck. It's like, all right, someone hand me a beer. I'm back on the beers. So then, you see all the people having beers, and then you're on stage having a couple beers. So it was, and then, I didn't think that I was going to speak, and then obviously got up there, and then like the whole like Bucky one more year, me one more year, and then I just, for some reason, I just went right to like the Wolf of Wall Street.
Just took over. Right?
Yeah, and then obviously decided to swear, which was whatever. Wasn't thinking, but
no, it is what it is. I think it's emotion takes over.
I think it turned out pretty well, to be honest.
Speaking of beers, some great stuff we got here.
Yeah, so obviously we've been talking quite a bit about these the punched up little springers.
Speaking, I'm back on.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
and they're delicious.
Yeah, they are good.
You can see they're delicious.
And they're dangerous. This past weekend, we do like this super weekend with a bunch of my buddies. We play on a softball team, and we had 4 games, and I brought like a bunch of cases, but I put them in a cooler.
There's none left.
We drank quite a few of them, but I put them in a cooler with ice, and then like had it at my buddy's parents' place, and like people were just drinking them. But the other thing that they've dropped now is this like dock party pack, which is essentially just like kind of a regular pack, but the new flavors. So we got blackberry, pineapple, tangerine, and strawberry.
Wow. So you got a shout out to the the launch team at Cottage Springs. They get new products all the time.
It's crazy. There's always so much coming out, and I actually, I went to their old office and I went into like the flavor lab.
Oh no!
So they have like all of these different things, like pumps of liquid or whatever. Almost looks like a kind of like a Starbucks setup.
Yeah.
So they're trying to combine everything, and I saw somebody like grinding in the lab, like trying to come up with like a new drink. And I know that like sometimes, like I was talking to my buddy Keith, they works there, like they'll like do like a custom flavor for somebody they know for like a wedding.
Oh no way!
Yeah. And you can kind of get like your own label on there or whatever.
That's
so
pretty sick.
yeah, get out there and try it. There's always so much new stuff coming out. And again, I'm on the blueberry for the punched up is kind of what I was reaching in and grabbing every time, and then you just throw a little bit of ice on it, and it's nice. So again, those ones we talked about, the dock packs are $21.95. So jump over to LCBO. It feels like they're just giving them away.
Go get them. Nice branding on them too.
Yeah, but again, other thing you can do is just grab the little springers and shotgun. That's the thing of the summer. But
I wanted to ask, getting back to it, like you've won 3 of them now.
Yeah.
And you know, what's kind of that like? It's been a couple years since the last one, and then also you won all 3 with Vino. Like, what was that like playing with him again and kind of going through that whole kind of process with him again at maybe different stages in your guys' lives?
Yeah, no, it was super special. I think that's what kind of made like the transition a little bit easier, like getting from Colorado to Buffalo. Like, you kind of just talk to V right away, and like it's like, what do you want here? And it's like, this is what I want. It's like, okay, like we're still on the same page. Like after all these years, like we're just gonna do the same thing that we did like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
See if it works again.
Yeah.
And then it did. So like that helped. And then again, like the nice thing is like, not that me and V's like relationship like soured, but there was like when he left for Buffalo, like I was upset. And it was more like I was just like bum hurt.
Yeah.
And I took it out on him. And then we
that was a very mature thing for you to recognize.
But then we reconciled before like this year, and we had like, because we had him on the pod, and I talked to him before that, but like.
Wait, so before having him on the pod, and like, how much time were you mad at him for?
Well, there was a time in San Diego where I was like really giving it to him.
Yeah.
Like there was a game, I think we were getting actually stomped by them, and then they pulled him because like we were losing by a bunch. And I was just motherfucking him.
Yeah.
But then we like buried the hatchet, and then he explained his side. I was like, no, dude, I totally get it. And I was like, I'm just kind of being childish. So I was like,
yeah, just let me run my course.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm gonna be what I'm gonna be.
I'm just going through my waves of emotion, and he got it, and it was all fine. But yeah, no, it was great, and I think just kind of said this like in the other podcast with like Teddy. It's just like it kind of was like worked out well because as I was coming in, they were still trying to figure out like what we were doing. So I kind of came into being like, hey, like we can all figure this out together, instead of being like, hey, this is what we're doing. Now I gotta like, okay, like fit into like, I don't fit in with this defense or this structure, and now it's like can kind of be like, well, this is like my 2 cents to what Fina wants. This is like how I play, is how like I seen this guy play, and then we kind of like were able to mix, like make a defensive like structure out of it. So I think that made it well. And I think just like kind of back to your first question, like winning all 3 with V, like again, he's going to go down as the best of all time. Like he is the best of all time. It's just tough to argue that. I think it's kind of like, it's almost like a full circle moment, right? Like we win the first couple of his career there. He wins one more with Buff, and then like get traded and kind of come back. So it was super cool. Like again, and like we had a nice embrace, and just it was cool. It was kind of just like, you know, that friend you haven't seen for years, and then you just get to like see him again, catch up, and you have a great night, and it all worked.
You almost picked up right back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what we did. But it was kind of like, again, it all worked out. So it was like all roses. Again, if we lost, it still would have been cool, but I think just, winning with like the 3 with him so far has been awesome. And like all 3 of them have been different. I kind of said this in the other podcast, like the first one I won, like I didn't get to enjoy. Because like me and Dan got traded before the season, came into Rochester after they won the first one. So it was kind of like we both came in being like, hey, let's not like screw this thing up. And then we won. It was like, thank God we won this one. We didn't fuck things up. And then the third one, we like were really good and kind of expected. We won it, but it was like, all right, like we were expected, and I like really enjoyed that one. And then this one, like I was kind of like, I was saying like, this one's up there. So it's like the second one I won and this third one are like kind of 1-2. You can kind of interchange them for different reasons, but like just the way the season worked out and how like the first half and blah, 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 like this one's like right up there too. So it's again, it's tough to, usually like you would say like the first one would be your best one.
Yeah.
But like I would say like the first one, like I didn't like I said, I didn't really enjoy it. It was more like a relief, which is like crazy to kind of think.
Yeah.
But it's just, that's the way it kind of was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, and we definitely, we don't have to get into like full details of it, but like how kind of the off season went for you.
No, for sure. Like, I mean, again, like you kind of go from like not being wanted to wanted, and like, then again, like Colorado gives me a chance, and then Colorado gives me a chance to go to Buffalo, and then Buffalo gives me a chance. Like, so there's like silver lines in anything, right? But again, like, kind of went from like, man, am I like don't have a place in this league where I thought I did, to like, okay, I kind of do, to kind of like, okay, I really do, and then it all works out. Like again,
how much do you think that kind of situation happening in the off season like fueled you going into this season too?
Oh, it was like huge. I was telling the guys in Buff, because again, before again, like without getting into details, they're kind of like told the whole city like, this is crazy. But I was like, this is like, and after one, I was like, this is my Taylor Swift like championship, like my fucking my ex breakup. This is my Taylor Swift. That's why like that's the reason why I say this is like my 1 and 2, because it's like my Taylor Swift. But yeah, like 'cause it was like, okay. Again, it kind of goes back to my dad, like, and that's another reason why it's like, it's weird, like, not that this championship special because he's not here, but it's the first one without him, which is like, it's weird, like it's special but not special because he's not there.
Yeah.
But then like I use him as like a big feeling factor. But back to the first part, was like, it was a huge thing. Like I lost, like I always pride myself on being in shape, but like I was like, okay, like now I'm gonna get really in shape. Like I lost like 10 pounds, like whatever, like got down to like almost like not like high school weight, but I lost a bunch of weight, and was like, okay, again, you don't think so? Like, okay, here now, like, you got to prove people wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that was my dad's thing, like, always was like, it's not what happens to you, it's like what it reacts to you. And his whole thing was always like, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So it's like, you either like sit there and pity and be like, oh, like, you know, fuck this guy, fuck that guy, like, it's this guy's fault, not me.
Yeah.
Or it's like, okay, or you like take the bull by the horns, be like, hey, prove people wrong. So like, that was definitely like a huge motivating factor. And like, again, it took a lot of restraint not to give the double barrels and just like be an absolute like jerk about the whole thing. But hey, end of the day, like people are going to make decisions, right? Like I'm not going to hold anyone, you know, I don't even know the word, but people are going to make decisions. And you know what? Again, you don't have to agree with them, and there's going to be tough decisions. But again, sometimes, like you say, there's a silver lining in things, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and it all worked out. But you know, maybe that gave me a little like kickstart again to be like, hey, maybe you weren't like doing the best you could. So no, it definitely was a huge like motivating factor for sure.
On the subject of, you know, kind of your family and your dad, also the first one. You won with your kids there. You know, obviously it's got to be pretty cool. What's that kind of like, especially, you know, Max starting to get to the, like, he's getting old. We were just talking before this, like when we started this podcast, he wasn't even alive yet, right? And like, you know, I it was funny, like he was buzzing around in your helmet after the game. Like, what was that kind of like?
No, and again, like that's another reason why, like, I was telling like young kids is like, I mean, you always, again, end of the day, after you're done playing this game, like, you're going to miss the boys. You're going to miss, like, the banter, the road trips, the shenanigans, right? And then you play to, you know, to win championships and create memories. And then when you're young and you don't have, a significant other or whatever, you're still trying to win it for your parents to pay them back and all that stuff. And then you have kids. It's like, my kids are young, but then you're trying to create memories for them. And like, again, they're not going to remember, but now we're going to have pictures for like lifetime, right? So when I do say like, hey, your dad was a good lacrosse player, it's like, well, here's proof, right? So, and then the same thing, it kind of gives you, again, that gives a little motivation too for leaving weekends, like for them to come enjoy it too. And that was another thing, like getting to Buffalo too, which was nice. Like, obviously Colorado, like it was great, but it's tough to fly out your wife and 2.5-year-old and 1.5-year-old to come 3 hours away. So they got to come to more games. And then it's funny because like Dory posts that reel and they say like Max, like, Daddy win, Daddy win, Daddy win. So every time, like, and then anytime the lacrosse game comes on, he's like, Daddy wins, Daddy wins. So every time he sees a lacrosse game, he says Daddy wins. So he kind of gets it, but no, exactly. Like that's kind of what keeps you going too, is kind of like hopefully you keep getting those memories with them too, and have all those pictures and momentums and stuff.
That's great, man. Again, I guess kind of back to that question I had it be like a while ago. Who was the post-game MVP, you think?
Yeah, we skipped over that one, right?
Yeah.
So for sure, like during the parade, like you saw like the Weiser drunkest guy in Buffalo. So he took the lead like the next day, but during the championship, so actually there's a couple, like, so Pre didn't even make it out. Yeah, he was too banged up, so he couldn't even make it out.
From the locker room?
From the locker room.
Yeah. So
That's incredibly impressive. From like 2.5 hours in the room.
I mean, there was a little bit of dehydration, I guess, and stuff. And I think actually, like, maybe the doctors like put like the brakes on him, like, so he didn't even make it out, which is that's super impressive. But then the MVP.
I love that we're deeming that like on the impressive side. Oh, he did such a good job, he couldn't come.
And then. And now
following up the kid segment with this.
It's a good transition. Yeah.
And then definitely, Chase Frazier was up there for sure. So when we got the rec room, he's just on the bar with the trophy. And I don't know what the bar is made of, but he was trying to stomp a hole into that, right through that bar. There was that Shabuzi song, and
yeah,
that was like kind of like not a post game song, but it's like always in the locker room. And I just remember like I'm having a couple of drinks or whatever, like kind of like in the background, and he's up there like hat on sideways. He's got the cup. That song came on, and like his leg was just like I said, trying to put a dent in this bar. But yeah, so he was the MVP, and then like I said, we got to like the change room and he wasn't there, so boys were a little bit worried, but he showed up, so
that's good.
He's good. Yeah, that was the MVP of the post game for sure.
One more question while we're on the kind of like the championship game. You there was also shout out your wife. She posted a bunch of cool photos, but you and Dan kind of beating up after the game. You won your first two with him.
Yeah.
Now he actually is technically working for a team that you kind of went through. What was that kind of like throughout the playoff?
Yeah, it was good. I think like obviously we were super close, and then after the first round when we both won, it was kind of like we still talk, but it's like, hey, let's not talk about lacrosse because we still have to do like family stuff, and I gotta take care of his kids, he's gotta take care of my kids, but like we're like, we'll just leave the family talk out of it, or not the family talk, so the lacrosse talk out of it, because it's like we both know no one's gonna give each other like anything and blah blah blah. And then once we won, there was a fuck you text from him, but then he's like, yeah, I'm super like happy for you, like, hopefully now you keep going and take the whole thing down and prove everyone wrong, blah blah blah. And then after the game, it was great. Like, again, he's, when we won the first game, he's like super proud of you, blah blah. Like, he was, again, through the whole thing, it's like he was a huge supporter of mine. Obviously, he's trying to get Toronto to that situation too, like behind the scenes and whatnot, but he's still been a big fan of mine. And then it was funny because like when we were doing the celebrations, we were like right near where like the family comes out. so like, cause I kind of almost went in to get like my family, cause you know there's a bunch of people. So he like came on and we did like, you know, we did the hug, super proud of you. We took a picture. He's like, "Get I'm out of here. Like I can't be on this floor. Like can't be on this floor." And he's like, "I'm leaving." It's like, no, I get that.
Yeah.
So it was good though. It was cool, and we got like, yeah, we got the cool picture. But no, he was good through the whole thing. Like, you know, we've talked to the whole thing about like not liking Buffalo, blah blah. And again, he still doesn't like Buffalo, which is fair. But now I love Buffalo, so it's like different. But we were both in the mindset where we both hated Buffalo, and then now I like it. I love it, I should say, and he hates it, and it's just like so. But again, for him to even come on the floor, like, just kind of shows you like the kind of guy he is. He'll still like swallow his pride and give his respects. But yeah, he only really kind of came on 10 feet onto the floor.
He wasn't going over to the logo.
Yeah, he wasn't going over to say hi to everybody and give like congrats and stuff like that.
Like waiting at the midline,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
reaching across to like shake his hand.
Yeah. But no, he was in my corner the whole time, which was, you know, he's been there since the beginning, and he'll kind of always be there, which is super cool.
Sweet, man. Yeah. So I mean, I guess lacrosse wise, this is like, you know, that's been a crazy season. I think one that, you know, even take a team like Albany, like nobody really expected that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think like you wrap the whole thing up. I think like it couldn't have gone any better for what they envisioned for like the first year. Again, like the run you guys go on into the last game, like 3% chance you guys sneak in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Vancouver making a hell of a run at the end. I think just like the unified standings was mental and worked out like an aces for like the league.
Yeah, I agree. It made, because like I don't remember outside of that season that you guys had in Rochester where like you made the playoffs on the last game and then you won the championship, right?
Yeah.
I don't really remember the standings being this tight like in any other kind of situation where like anything, like I mean, like you said, we needed to hit a 5-leg parlay to make the playoffs in the last weekend, like and like all that stuff happened, and any team, like the standings could have been different by like 4 or 3 different teams could have been 100%. Reversed out, or 2 teams or whatever. So I think you're right. It's pretty cool that, you know, what they wanted to do worked, because I don't think that we're incredibly used to that happening in the NLL. Is exactly what they set out to do working. So it working was great, and I think I was a little bit surprised by the new trophy. I'll say that I didn't expect that, because it feels like the other one was like pretty new.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and that it wasn't really announced, so they just put it on Instagram, and it was like, oh, I guess we're getting a new trophy.
Yeah, it was quick.
But like, I feel like, I don't know, whatever. It's just like Kamish just being a bro, where he's like, but like
we need to fill this with pints.
Yeah,
that's what he set out to do,
which was hilarious. But like, again, I think the backstory of it's like super cool because it's done by an Indigenous woman and blah blah blah. So I think the backstory was like super cool, but like, it is hilarious because like we literally just got a new trophy.
Yeah. What do you think they do with the other ones?
So another funny thing is there was 2 trophies bussed around the whole time.
Okay.
So there's one that the league wants back, and there's one we get to keep. So I don't know if this lady's going to keep making a secondary one
every year that the team.
But it was like, so you're having a bunch of drinks, and then all of a sudden it's like the Scooby Doo thing. You're like, am I really drunk? Or like, did I see a trophy? Then I see another trophy. You're like, because when I saw it, and then eventually I was like, are there 2 trophies in here? And they're like,
am I being punked or am I
no,
wasted?
100%. So I was like, I keep seeing like, because one of those trophies just in this room, and they're like, no, yeah, there's 2. There's the one the league wants back, and there's one that we get to keep. So
Pretty smart, actually.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. Like if they're gonna keep doing that, but it would be great to like hear from the commish like what was the reasoning behind it.
Uh-huh. Well, maybe the lead paint poisoning thing, or
yeah, like again,
that could have been a reason. But I am like, and I'd like to talk to him too, and just be like, okay, like. Because even before it was the Champions Cup?
Yeah.
And then they had this most recent one. Like, are they like, is there like an NLL, like maybe in the office? They've got like kind of the old trophies, like in the Philadelphia office or something? I don't know. At least it'd be kind of cool, but I'm just curious what they do with them.
Well, the one, like that was the whole thing why the NLL Champions Cup got made. And then I think like kind of like almost the old one. It was like, hey, we need a cup. So like I think they gave it to like a high school senior project, and that's where like the first NLL Champions Cup came from. Because when the NLL merged,
You're telling me like a wood shop class made out trophy?
I mean, that might. I mean,
I'm running with that.
I don't think it's far off. To be honest, I mean, it's take it with a grain of salt, but I don't think it's far
I
off.
love this league.
But
Track us down for
when the MLL merged to the NLL, they had that nice cup that kind of looked like the Founders Cup.
Yes.
It was like a little bit like a Stanley Cup. It looked more
It's like
like
a
the,
skinnier, taller
yeah,
Stanley
it looked
Cup.
like the Founders Cup. That dish disappeared.
Like gone.
Yeah. So there's also
it's in
like
someone's basement somewhere. That's what that means.
no, 100%. So there's also a bunch of folklore that like Dallas Elliott has, because I think Philadelphia was the last.
I love this man keeps creeping back in our life every now and
But
then.
it's like I think Philly was the last team to win it. So yeah, someone in Philly has it, but like no one has said who has it.
So, like,
it,
but I
it
don't-
is someone
It's a
has
trust
it.
circle over
How
there.
do you just get away with just like being like, hey, like the league's like, congrats on winning last year, but like, can we have our trophy back? Like, no, it's ours now. Like, it's gone.
I mean, I guess you just never tell them who has it, and they can't track it down.
Snitches,
like that's what I mean.
snitches
Like,
get
who
stitches
knows?
in that situation.
It really is amazing that we had Thomas Whitty on last week, and he like stopped a couple of the boys from throwing the Iroquois trophy in a fire. It is amazing. Like the Minto Cup, as far as I know, is like the same same cup and stuff, and like it's amazing the summer ones have lasted that long.
Mm-hmm. Because you would think that they would be almost more at risk based on some of the groups that
100%.
you're throwing together to win those things.
100%.
I was gonna like you kind of mentioned it, but I think it's like kind of funny. Like I feel like for like athletes, like birthdays don't really mean anything, and like kind of like seasons are how we measure. Like my age doesn't really ever mean anything to me. It's like, oh, I was there that year, or this team that year, or whatever. So I just like kind of like have been thinking a lot about how this is just like another chapter in like our like the end of the season is kind of another chapter. Like, you guys ever think about that? How like that really has more influence than like age, and then you kind of tie like jobs. There's all these like kind of weird ways of like kind of like portioning up our lives, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think at least like even when you're going through junior and even like senior, it's like the end of every summer or the end of every lacrosse season when you're at school. Like that's that's how I like kind of measure years.
Yeah, right.
Whereas like maybe this kind of goes back to childhood. I never really got a lot of birthday parties, but so I just had to
My
latch
parents
on.
didn't love me.
Yeah. Let's. I don't want to make my mom feel bad if she's listening to this, but it's I would say it's the same kind of thing, and I think it's to a certain degree it's interesting because you can like the end of a season gives you a lot of self kind of like feedback to be able to directly reflect on what you learned in a year, because it's got like a finite time on it, so it ends. Like whereas like next Saturday actually is my birthday. It's like, am I gonna sit down and be like, what did I learn this year about myself? Like no, but I did that at the end of the season. Like, and it's like you start to evaluate.
I gotta go to work on Monday. Had a crazy night Saturday, so I'm like back to going where it's like, okay. Yeah, and I guess like that's like the thing with work. Like work never ends. Where, like lacrosse ends for a period of time. So it's like you say, you gotta like reflect, be like, okay, like what am I doing? What am I gonna do? What did I do? Whatever. Like you gotta like look back, look forward. Where like work is just like you're just constantly like, in the mix, so you don't even like really get a chance to figure it out. And then when you do get a break, it's like, well, I'm just going away for 2 weeks. So I'm not going to think about work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
You're running away from it.
Yeah, exactly. I actually never thought of that. Like, I mean, I always reflected on, like, obviously, like, same thing, like, okay, how was the season? Like, what am I going to, like, this is what I did well, this is what I could improve on. Now, like, here's a plan moving forward. But, like, I never thought of that as, like, like the end of, like, a chapter and, like, putting that to like real life.
Yeah, I found like this sounds maybe stupid, but I found like both years in pro lacrosse for me, just finishing kind of 2 full years, like I was like a lot more bummed after like kind of rattled, almost like a grieving stage after the season. And it's just like, but then you have this like weird thing where like I got I'm a little banged up right now, so I'm waiting for PLL. But then you have like this excitement of a new season too. So it's like you have all this shit happening. Like I think that's a difference between like a birthday or something like that too. It's like you have like this grieving process, and then you go to training camp, and especially like your buddies who don't play NLL, like my buddies in PLL, like they're so excited, right?
Yeah.
It's like such a fresh, and that's great. Like that's what the best part about like playing all year and stuff. But it's just funny. And like for me this year, it was like the first time we really had like a lot of adversity. Like my rookie year, like it was pretty smooth. Like we played pretty well. We beat all the teams. Like we pretty much beat teams who were lower than us in the standings, lost teams who were above us. I played well. We made a playoff game. And then this year it was just like a fucking roller coaster. And it's everything you guys say. It's like you look back at the end of the year about all this stuff you guys learned, and then it's like it's just like a Monday in April, right? And it's just like I don't know, it's just a kind of a funny experience that you go through. Like it's just a weird thing you get playing in this league.
You get 2 birthdays. That's kind of how you can
2 birthdays, yeah.
It's
/ no birthdays.
yeah, 0 birthdays.
I think it's just like that's one thing like about this like league too is like the nature of the league is like you almost like you gotta grieve on your own, which like sucks.
Yeah.
So like think of the NHL, everyone else, like you do like the locker cleanout, which is like probably super depressing, but then it's like you know, you get to go see the boys one more time. But like a lot of times if you like lose or win, that's like the last time you're gonna see the guys for like could be potentially another 6 months, which is like super crazy. So it's like either the highest of highs or lowest of lows, but then it's like then you just disappear without like saying goodbye, and it's like, oh man, this like sucks.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like again like the nature of the league, I guess. But
Yeah, it is. It's always a weird thing too, like because you don't find it's like hard to process, especially when you like if you lose like the way we lost, like you lose a single elimination game, and like
this is done.
Yeah, and like no team is ever the exact same the next year.
No,
and like I think this year was like the first year where I was kind of like sitting there and it's just like, oh, like you know, this team made like you never made, like some of these guys like it's not like I'm crossing paths with a lot of them in just like everyday life. So it's like you know, maybe you'll never like you could never like never see them.
Yeah,
like
100%.
which is a weird. It's such a weird thought. I'm sure you won't like lacrosse. is so small, but
100%.
Like it could happen. So
but there is like, there is a ton of times you're like, I mean, never see this guy again or person, and it's weird. And then it's just like you said, there's just no like grieving process. It's like, hey, see it, because like for the most part, there's no like even exit meetings like just later on too, like with coaches and stuff. It's just kind of like. All right, you just wait, and then before training camp, it's like, okay, here we go. Like, here's a schedule. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy too. Like the one thing I've learned already is like you don't know when your opportunities come, and like I think that was true for you this year. Like you're in Colorado, obviously, you know, you guys probably expected it to go a little bit differently in Colorado, and then all of a sudden you're in and like same, you guys were down and out. All of a sudden you're back in the playoffs, and like
that's the thing. You never know what could happen. Like it's such a like what have you done for me lately, or what are you bringing that day league, that it's like that's why I mean at least our messaging when we were in the room was like, man, if we just take care of what we can take care of and you get in, like who knows, especially with like a single game elimination, and then you're really like, and then it's 2 game elimination, like it's quick and anything can happen, and it makes every year that much more interesting. Like even like take a team like Albany, like 3 wins last year, and then like boom, like you just turned around and they're all the way in the final. It's fun that way because it makes it entertaining.
And then on the flip side, like, and you guys have been through this way worse than I have. Like I got hurt for like the first time in my career, and it's like, all right, that's it. Like that's your like season's over. It's like, you know, it's just like, oh shit, like
that feeling's not fun. But.
Yeah, and again, I'm not like a lot of guys have been through a lot of worse stuff. Mine was just bad timing, but
but it still sucks because you're still trying to. Want to go compete, now you're sitting there like I think whether you're healthy scratch or hurt, like when you don't get to like help the team, like you can't get any, you can be the biggest rah guy, but you always
it sucks,
any day you want to compete, you want to like be on the field, like regardless, like
because you wouldn't be showing up if you didn't want to do
exactly that. Right, you just shut her down, like so again, and no matter how good a big team guy you are, like everyone wants to try and compete and make a difference on the field, right? And so it's tough when that gets taken away from you. So it's like it's super hard. I feel like it's like the helpless feeling I can't do anything. It sucks.
Yeah, no, it's funny too because like my PLL season last year in the playoffs when we lost, we got waxed. Like it was just one of those games when you
Rip
just
the Band-Aid.
Yeah, we just got smoked. And then this year in San Diego, we lost in overtime, and it's just like it's funny like.
It's just we were like saying this. You rather get waxed almost.
I think
hey,
you would.
we didn't have it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, hey, I mean, like you never want to lose, but like that was the whole thing. It's like, what's a better way to lose? Just get shit pumped, or lose in overtime, or like, hey, we could have won that game, or just be like, hey, we weren't even close to being in that.
I think it's tough because it's like if you get blown out, it's like we just didn't have it today, right? And it's harder to be like. We maybe gave our best shot and it wasn't quite good enough. Like obviously we lost, there's always things you want to clear up, but like our guys fought so hard. Like it's like that was pretty much like a good effort. And it's like that's just a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't help too when you miss that game then.
Yeah, it's just like you're just like
probably just go through a lot of
especially when you won 2 games in overtime against me. That's when you shine.
Yeah, it's true.
Pauly finally got the last
40 minutes in, he finally gives me credit.
This could have been me.
Yeah.
Could have swim fucking face dodged another guy and scored.
Yeah. On this note, one of the things I think is like kind of interesting for us as a podcast is we're like pretty evenly spaced out. So for you guys, like looking back on your own careers, like what would be maybe not like advice, but like what would you say to like your younger self, like kind of breaking in to the league?
I mean, I think at least from my perspective, there's a lot of different lessons I think along the way, but I think especially as like an offensive player, like there's only so many superstars and so many there's only one ball.
Yeah.
And, each team's going to kind of have a role. And, there's so many guys that you can watch in the league that, just do, the little things incredibly well and have made 10, 12, 15-year careers out of it. So I think that, for me at least, is, just being able to kind of, to a certain degree, throw your pride aside and be like, okay, I'm sure I had the ball a lot in junior. Sure, I, played well in college. But just being like, okay, maybe for a couple years here or even for my entire career, if I get really good at helping this guy get open, I'll probably have a job.
Exactly.
So I think it's doing that. But then the other part of it too is you talked about it, being the rah-rah guy and making sure everyone feels included and taking time to throw something in a group chat and do all that stuff. It seems like it's just a thing to have to be the funny personality or do that stuff, but it's so important because like you said, it's a 6-month season. It's only weekends. Sometimes you can kind of, if you don't do that stuff, it can make things feel not as close. Yeah. And at least the best teams I've been around, all of that's going on all the time.
Yeah.
And guys want to be together. They're not just I know people have families, but they're not just jetting out right after a game and not seeing each other. So I would say at least to me, younger self was I would get so frustrated when we played in Roch early on because it was I felt like I wasn't doing enough, trying to score, scoring enough, or I thought I could.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it was I was not willing to do the other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So I think if you can learn that, especially if you're somebody that's trying to come into the league and keep or earn a spot early and then try and keep on, it's just throwing the pride aside a little bit and then making sure the boys love you.
Yeah.
I think to add on to that, it's just and this was tough of the league too, is learning the pro game that goes along with doing the little things, right? And it's tough because a lot of people aren't there to teach you that part, which is also tough, from an offensive and a defensive standpoint. So you come in as a goal scorer, ball carrier, but it's okay, well, we have, say our team, you come in and it's you got Dane Smith, Josh Burton, but you're also a 100-point guy. But then no one's there to teach anything different. So it's trying to figure that out on your own or asking questions or trying to figure that out. And I think just again, for me, I've always been, I'll always preach this, but and you kind of said this from a team standpoint, from like a pro standpoint, like being ready. Like, so what's being ready? Like, to me, that's being in shape, you know, being in the group chat, being on time in emails, watching video, like, be ready. Like, again, fortune favors like those guys who work hard. So like for me, it was like the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? So a lot of people, like I've seen so many people in this league that like, you know, way more talent than like us three, they're gone, right? Didn't want to work hard, didn't want to do anything, thought they like had their anything. Like, again, I try and like preach this message, and it's just, I mean, it's a simple message, but like just work hard and make sure like you're ready. And I think that's just like a message that still gets lost like in this league a little bit. And I think in like every sport, but there's like, dude, you gotta like make it hard for a coach to take you out. So if you're always doing the right things, working hard, like it's gonna be hard for you to take you out or not put you in, right? And it's tough to like, it's also tough to be that guy when you're like banging and crashing in practice, but it's like, hey, listen, man, like same point, like you're trying to earn a spot. And I just think too many people like are on that cusp and then just let it go away because they're not in shape or they're not ready or just laissez-faire. So that'd be my thing. It's just like, man, you gotta make sure you're ready, and that's doing all the little things away from the game. Like the easy part should be playing the game. The hard part should be preparing physically, mentally, knowing who you're playing against, all that stuff. So that's kind of like my message. Like,
What about you, Donnie?
I don't know. Mine is like, it's like for me personally, it's like I'm not as good as I think I am when I'm really like when I'm feeling myself, and I'm better than I think I am when I'm down on myself. Right? It's like always
trying to be even keel, like trying to be even keel.
Trying to ride the wave, because like I think like especially like in like the 2 league thing, like I talked about how like I lost an opportunity with the injury, but it's like there's another game coming. It's like we play like, and even if you're playing senior A, like you're playing like 9 months of the year, it's like you just got to get ready for the next one. And it's a lot. It's like what you're saying. It's like, you know, when you're like playing well, and that's when you have to like stay in the gym.
Yeah.
So, like the great guys like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? Scored 5. I could probably take this day off instead of being like, all right, like.
Yeah, like I hate watching film after I play terrible.
Yeah.
Like I like can't do it. And if I play well, like I'll put 4 hours in the film. Like, and I'm not just talking about watching my own clips. Like that's definitely part of it. Like we always joke about that. We joke. Brandon Goodwin scored. I think he had a hat trick late in the year, and he's a beauty. And we were just joking like his huddle time this week is gonna be like through the roof after his goals. But like I don't want anything to do with lacrosse after I'm not playing well, and it's just like I just think I kind of. But I think a lot of guys go through it too. It's just like you just ride the wave and.
Yeah, I mean, like there's parts where you get like you need like mental breaks from things too,
Right.
but like I think just there's too many guys that don't want to work for it, I guess, is like my whole thing. Like that have a chance, but then like kind of same thing. Like it's tough sledding. That's like I'm fucking done, or fuck this guy, or it's a coach, or blah blah. But yeah, like it's tough, man, because I think like confidence and all that stuff goes like a huge way into the sports too. But it's like the one thing too, like what is it? It's like, you know, consistency is like boring.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's monotonous, but like that's what's gonna be successful, right? Like the flashy stuff and like that's not what's gonna be nice. Is like doing the same thing, like obviously has to be like the right thing, but like the consistency of just being like boring and doing like over and over again, that's what's gonna like get you somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's also like the hard part, because it's just like boring, monotonous work, watching film, running, lifting, like whatever, right? But I think like that's the kind of thing. It just like it's just too easy to be like like not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. For sure.
I would actually say, just to like amend it, like one thing for me, the biggest thing I've learned is like be a player.
Yeah.
Like don't worry about like the travel, the this, the that. Just be a fucking player, and
that's
harder than it sounds. Like, again, you just there's all these logistical things that you've never had before in your lacrosse career because you live in the same place.
Especially in like this league, and like I think like you know, being in this league a long time, like that's one of the messages. Like, listen, like shit's gonna go crazy, but like that shouldn't, like you said, that shouldn't affect how we play. We miss a flight or we do this, like. Yes, it sucks, right? But like, if you dwell and be negative on it, and it's like that's gonna affect you playing, right? Like, and again, like, so it's like you try and prep guys, being like, listen, like, stuff's gonna go crazy. You're gonna miss your luggage is gonna get lost, right? Like, it's gonna suck. But like, again, how do we react to it, right? Like, but that's the thing, like, just worry about the floor time, not like, which is again so tough to do because. Again, not that everyone thinks they're right, but like everyone has their 2 cents of like, hey, we should be doing this, or like, you know, the coach should be doing that, or like we should be throwing this guy in, that guy in, put this guy there. But yeah, sometimes you like I don't know who the coach, but sometimes you just shut up and play. Yeah, just shut up and play. Who was that?
Well, I don't know who that was. I don't know. I can picture it in my mind. But
I feel like the hardest part is like sometimes there's stuff that like legitimately is like difficult, like some sort of like crazy travel. You're going right to practice. It's like it's not like you're like making up an excuse. It's like that's actually something that is legitimately going to affect you. But you can't think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have to, even if it is valid.
Yeah.
You still have to get it out.
You can't use it as a crutch. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, 100%. Like, it's like, not to like put it back to championship, but like, does traveling 4 hours by bus on Friday night suck balls? 100%. But like, so if we lose that game, like, it's like, oh, okay, now it sucks.
And then that comes into your mind more. That
right?
It's like, fuck, we got a whole bus ride. Right? And I got to make sure I'm ready tomorrow.
So obviously you win it. It feels better, but it's like, that's the thing where like, it was almost like, hey, we know this weekend's going to suck. Mm-hmm. But like, let's make it worth it. Yeah. Let's make the suck worth it, right? So like, and then another thing too about this league is like, kind of everyone has to do it, right? Like, no one's like not doing it, which also makes it a little bit easier. But like you say, it's still like legitimate points, but it's like, how do you like, just take that and just be like, okay, sucks, but like, let's go, right? Yeah.
I think there's a certain value in the skill set of being able to trick yourself into thinking that nothing else. Like,
that's what I mean. It's like great.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like what these like guys like Dawkins do. Like,
well, it's like the Jocko. It's like the Jocko. Like he embraces soccer. Like his whole. There's like the one video where it's like good, right? He's like, hey, like, we want this new thing. He's like, good. Yeah. They didn't give us it. He's like, good. Yeah. Like, he's like, good. Like, they don't give us anything, good. Yeah. Right? It's just like, let's go. The more they don't give us, like, let's do it, right? Like, embrace the suck. So it's like, exactly. Like, how do you turn the negative into like, all right, this is awesome? Yeah.
And I think like there's even, this is probably more so how I like deal with stuff like that, but there's like a certain way in finding like, especially if it's like a canceled flight or like a bunch of guys' bags don't come up. Like, everything's gonna get figured out. Yeah. And it's just like finding a certain level of humor in that.
Yeah, dark humor. Not dark humor, but exactly.
Like our second game of the year, and I don't even know why I did this. Like, so, like I couldn't get the head off my stick, so I just left my stick in my bag. My gear didn't show up, and so I had like wearing Ripper's shoes. With like
that's your dad.
My papa's shoes with extra with extra large t-shirt on, no bucket, and a D-guy stick that hooks to the ground. And it was just like, but like there was and again, part of that was my own.
But you were still asking the guys to feed you the rock.
Yeah,
you're still like, feeling
hey, let me get my touches here. This is about me right now. But then you just kind of make it like a little lighthearted and like keep like without going too far to becoming a distraction, but like making sure that like it's not like I'm like pouting because stuff isn't there. It's
that's like, what I mean, 100%. So it's like it's a fine line, but it's like how do we make this funny, but like not turn into be like, all right, this is like getting negative, but no, 100%. It's like that's what you try to like preach in this league. It's like we're gonna go through random shit like that. No one else has to do this, but
I forgot to tell this story before, but like, Ripper had he did his 400th consecutive game, and it was in Hamilton, and that's like I got put back in the lineup for that kind of like one game in between not playing a bunch, and like I ended up scoring in that game.
The 6 out of 5 goal?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, was nice. Okay, whatever.
No,
roll the clip.
Yeah, was insert clip here, but we in the room after we didn't win the game, but obviously like they had that ball and because he does so much like on the.
But it was your goal ball.
It was.
Did you want it?
It would have been no. I didn't. That's not the point of this. I'm not a specific other person that will go on and trying to get my goal ball, but Hazers just like kind of gives him a big talking and it's like this guy does so much and everything and like gets the ball and like in this guy's 400th consecutive game speech, he's like, I'm just really happy I got to see my son score that goal tonight.
That's what he said?
That was his speech. And the whole room erupted. So it's just like,
dude,
again,
that is awesome.
There's so much value. And again, just kind of like, I said it to you, like, and I mean, obviously like this year didn't go the way I planned, and a decent part of my career has kind of gone that way.
Yeah.
But it's like the more that you can kind of show up with a smile on your face and like make sure that, even if people think that things aren't going well for you, like if you can make them see that you're kind of like still happy and then maybe check in on them and then like kind of go from that, then everyone's like, okay, if he's not down, why would I be down? And I think it goes a long way in keeping like teams close too.
100%.
But is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
No, I think this has been this has been good. Any funny stories for the year? Kind of talking some serious stuff here, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like hard off the top of your head to think of them. I think there was a lot of.
What's the funniest story I have this year?
Oh, I don't know if I've told you. This is this is Connor Farrell's story, but
absolute beauty, man.
So obviously, like,
should be in the WWE, not the NLL.
Yes, he absolutely needs to be. But so like first weekend, he's on our team in Rochester, right? Like he's coming to camp with us. I'm rooming with him, and I show up, and he's got like this big like arm cast on or whatever. But I show up to physicals, and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to ride back to the hotel? He's like, yeah, no problem. Park the car, coming down like the parkade in Rochester, and like I'm carrying my bag, and he's just got like his overnight bag, and he's ahead of me, and like we're going around the corner. And as he gets around the corner, he just like screams and jumps out of the air. He goes, holy shit, he's coming. So then like I like threw all my stuff and jumped, and then he just turns back and goes like, gotcha. And then like
his Long Island.
Oh yeah. And then later in that same weekend, like we're walking around Rochester to like walk into the arena, and like Ralphie's walking by some homeless people that are doing drugs they shouldn't be doing or whatever, and he starts like, him just like chatting him up. He's like, hey buddy, good to see you. And the one guy's like, oh yeah, you got the like crib back on the block? He's like, oh, I'm still on the block, whatever. And then there's just like this other homeless guy that's kind of like just beside them that just stands there and just gives us a finger and goes, yeah, why don't you guys go like fuck yourselves? And then Ralph's like, no, fuck you. And then whatever, we just keep walking. I was like, that was the weirdest thing ever. And then Farrell's with us, and out of nowhere he turns around, looks back, he goes, holy shit, he's got a gun, and starts running. And none of us look back. We all start running too. And I turned around and like threw my instinct was just to throw my Gatorade back at them for some reason.
Yeah, you can block a bullet.
Yeah,
you can block a bullet with it.
And then he's just like, oh, got you guys again. So whenever we were like, now that he signed in Buffalo and we were kind of watching in the playoffs, like we'd still be chirping in the group, and everyone would be like, oh, Lomi, like your buddy Farrell's like, the milkman's gonna do it. The man who scared you to shit yourself. Like, but yeah, that's one that pops out to me as just like there's obviously so many things that happen. I mean, we don't have to go into detail of even like the night that when we played you guys, and that bar was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Or Donnie sending us to the bar that 3 people got murdered.
I didn't send you there. I just didn't hold you back. You didn't text me.
Would have been nice.
Oh yeah, and funny enough, he texted.
Well, because you thought I was gonna kill you.
I did hold back.
Yeah, the funny thing is he never told you, but the week
told you,
before he texted.
That was because it happened the same weekend, though.
Yeah.
It was the night before.
You're like, hey man, wouldn't go there. There's a murder, and then to Pauly, you're like, hey man, go check out this bar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I guess, I mean, again, a lot of belt limbo happened this year.
Oh, I love belt limbo.
Belt limbo.
I saw it for the first time last year. I thought it was like the coolest, funniest thing ever. It's like the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, a lot of good fun. But I don't know. It just feels like, for some reason, it felt like a really long year. Like when you think back all the way to training camp.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it is a long year.
You know what? The funny thing is, it's like, even though it's an 18-game season, it is a long fucking season. Like you say, like, it goes from November to May.
Yeah.
It's fucking long.
Almost June.
Yeah, like it's long. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot of shit that happens on the way, but yeah, it's tough to put it in on the spot. But
Yeah. I guess did we ever talk about the league awards?
I don't think so.
And I guess we don't necessarily have to get into it. We can save that for banter for another time because I don't even have them in front of me. But in terms of like who, I don't even remember who won everything. Glenn Clark was GM and
of the
coach.
year and coach. I mean, we're getting rally him off.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, I think everything was pretty deserving. Like,
Yeah, it's hard to argue a lot. Like it's a lot of time. I find out it's like hard to kind of get those wrong.
yeah, like I think there's been a couple. I think D Man of the Year awards. Not this year. I think Dokesy again Dokesy's been in that conversation for a while. I don't think that was his first one.
I think he wanted at least one more.
Okay, but again, he led the league in cost turnovers. But I think for the most part, there's been a couple years where there's a couple of D guys that won it, where it was like, man, I think like people were trying to screw other people over. Anyways, but I think this year was like,
That is open for interpretation for anybody who's out there. Let's go.
but yeah, I think for the most part, this year was pretty good. So it was like, transition of the year guy was MVP, JB, offensive MVP, JB. D guy Dokesy, sportsmanship Lyle for the 27th time since he's got in
I
the
think
league.
that's amazing. That might be the best run in sports.
Coach and
Can
GM.
you imagine somebody won 10 Lady Bings in a row?
Coach and GM Clarkey.
I had 0 pins this year. I didn't even get it.
Wow.
Really?
I think I had. I don't think
Wow.
0.
That is.
I think so.
That is crazy.
It's like the guy in.
And Lyle bundled Hartley from behind.
I feel like the guy in the
Right,
longest
so,
yards. Like, I gotta
Speaking
give
of defensive players, we got a gripe for sportsmanship award.
Yeah.
Media person, we won't talk about that because we got.
Yeah, we got snubbed
Bypassed
again. This is
again.
It's getting ridiculous. Was that 3 years now?
Yeah. You guys have well deserved. But,
And then that's it, right? Who else?
Quit stealing our award.
Yeah. What else is there? Tranny, D guy, O guy, MVP. Oh, goaltender of the year, Rosie. I think that was a good one.
Yeah.
I think he
Has
was.
he won that before?
No. So
good for him. Yeah.
I also should. I'm pretty sure no, but again, I think
I
that's
think he ran with it, yeah.
that's when he's been knocking on the door for a while, and again, like, I think that could be another one where like maybe sometimes he got passed up in like previous years where he was like up there, and again had a hell of a season. So yeah, congrats to Rosie. That was a bird bump because we had him like way back in the day.
I think like at this point, everyone's a bird bump. I think everyone on that list.
We have to get
Have we got Dilksy on yet?
No.
Who?
Dilks?
No, we should get Dokes down. He's a beauty.
Yeah.
Funny story. Did I ever tell you that? I must have told a story, but I was coaching in Six Nations. This was like back in 2017 or maybe two. Anyways, when I made Team Canada. Mm-hmm. So I'm coaching Six Nations with Patty Merrill, Billy Greer, and we're having like a family barbecue. And I'm coaching Jameson Dokes' younger brother who's on Toronto. And we're having this barbecue, and I like talking to his dad, and like, hey, like, nice to meet you. It's like Ryan just gets named to Team Canada. I've been named to Team Canada, like the roster's set. And I'm talking to him like, hey, he's like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm Paul Dawes. Yeah, I've been watching you for a while. Like, he's like, hey, what are you doing next year? You retiring? Are you coming back? I'm like, I'm going to see you in like 3 weeks in Syracuse. That's me, Team Canada, Mr. Dokes. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, what the
I've been noticing you're slowing down a little bit.
I was like, Jesus, man.
Don't call him now, eh?
Holy shit, dude.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so he just tried to body bag me, and I was like, nah, I'm playing for Team Canada, so yeah, I'll see you next week. But, that's a funny one.
Yeah. I got nothing else.
I got nothing else. This is really good.
Yeah.
117 now. Crazy.
Yeah, we're flying through them. Like we said last week, don't let us get hot and do our jobs and actually put out an episode every week here. But
this might be the future headquarters here.
Yeah, so we just do the Sundays.
Yeah.
Stop in for a little grill on the Flatiron.
Smash burgers. We'll do smash burgers.
What else? What's your specialty on there? Is it the smash?
What do you want?
Like you'll do anything?
Anything, literally anything. So obviously we do like a bunch of breakfast on there. I've got the full kit and caboodle as far as like, except for I gotta get the burger smash thing.
Yeah.
But I got the pancake like.
Oh, no.
Yeah, God, dude.
Yeah.
Like I've gone all.
You know what? I saw this on like Instagram not that long ago. But like when you cook the bacon, and then you dip it into the pancake batter after it's cooked.
Yeah, and then like fry it. Yeah.
And so you get the.
So like today we did like we're getting way off the rails, but today like I was cooked. I bought these like thick pieces of bacon for breakfast this morning after I came on. We're by about 2 packs, and then people are coming over. So I cooked the rest of the thick cut bacon. Then I put it off to the side so all the grease went. Then I cooked the smash burgers into that bacon grease.
Wow. That's why I feel like I have a clogged artery.
Yeah.
It's funny, like we've been talking about like your career, different stops, and it's like we're ending with like bragging about like your pancake mixer.
Yeah, this is how you know you're getting to the end. Like a little later in your career.
Yeah, no, how you're.
I'm getting horned up talking about
exactly.
Yeah, a week after your Rochester titles,
Not the girl I slept with this week, and the nice pancake batter mix I
things
made.
have changed a little.
Yeah. You should see what I can cook on this Blackstone now.
No, I got nothing else.
Good. Again, we want to give a major shout out to Cottage Springs. Appreciate everything that they do. Get out there, try the dock packs with the new flavors. Pauly's got, what is that, strawberry punched up one too?
No, I'm doing the watermelon dragon
fruit. So the strawberry is the one that's in the dock pack now too, which are good flavors. So feel free to get out, give those a shot, support some good local Canadian business. But I think that pretty much does it for episode 117. So I guess we'll chat with you next week.
A little season recap. Peace.